Hello again. We're now at video number 4 in the series, The Microbiome. We are still talking about the digestion as it is important to understand it before diving into the microbiome. All food particles are broken down to their smallest parts. The carbohydrates become simple sugars, the proteins become amino acids, and the fats become fatty acids. This is done with the help of enzymes, hydrochloric acid, and water. The surface of the intestine is about the same size as a football field. To understand this, you should first know what the villi and the microvilli are. The villi are finger-like and they cover the surface of the intestine. On top of these fingers are billions of little hairs called microvilli. This is also called the brush border. Between these two, the surface of the intestine is increased exponentially. Enzymes are produced around the brush border to help finish the digestion of the food. Understanding this helps to understand celiac disease. If someone is celiac, the villi are lying down or they're atrophied and they no longer work. This is why a celiac person can't absorb their nutrients and they can get very sick. Enzymes turn carbohydrates into simple sugars like glucose, fructose, and galactose. This starts in the mouth and continues in the small intestine. Once the carbohydrates have been broken down, they can now be absorbed through their microvilli. If you notice on the last picture, on the last slide, there was blood vessels right below the microvilli. A protein starts to get digested in the stomach by an enzyme called pepsin. Pepsin only works in an acid environment. Once the protein passes the stomach, enzymes that work in an alkaline environment take over. Proteins get broken down into their simplest form, amino acids. These amino acids are what the body uses to build human proteins, and this is partially how your body builds and repairs itself. Fats get a pre-treatment before enzymes break them down. Bile from the gallbladder emulsifies the fat once it enters into the small intestine. From there, enzymes go to work finishing up the breakdown of the fatty acids that the body will use to lubricate itself and make the cells more pliable. It's important to understand fat digestion. Many people have had no choice but to get their gallbladders taken out. The gallbladder's job is to release the right amount of bile to emulsify the fat that's coming through. When there is no gallbladder, the bile drips into the upper part of the intestine continually. This may create a problem for fat digestion because it doesn't get the pre-treatment it's supposed to get. Supplementing with something like bile salts can help emulsify the ingested fats. Once the gallbladder has been removed, a colon cancer check every 5 years may be in order. Your doctor will let you know. The intestine wasn't designed to have bile dripped into it all day. Malabsorption of nutrients. Things that cause nutrients to not be absorbed properly. So insufficient delivery of bile. As I've just mentioned, bile is needed for good fat digestion. Without enough of it, the stool may be too fatty because the fat didn't get absorbed. The pancreas not producing enough enzymes. When there isn't enough enzymes to break apart the macronutrients, they don't break down into single molecules. Instead, they're clumped together into big molecules. Insufficient good bacteria. As you will learn, bacteria actually digest foods that our bodies can't digest. They also produce some of our vitamins. Damaged villi, like in celiac disease. A damaged mucosa. If you remember, this lines and protects the walls of our stomach and intestine. When damage has occurred, the wall of the intestine is exposed to unwanted microorganisms that destroy the tight junctions in the intestinal walls. Bacteria infection like C. difficile. This usually happens to the elderly by being exposed to a contaminated toilet. C. difficile is a very serious infection. It's really hard to get rid of, and it can make a person slowly die of malnutrition. It does this because everything turns to diarrhea instead of being absorbed. This is something that my mom had, and we kept it at bay, but it was not easy. Many medications also cause damage to the intestine and stomach, causing malabsorption. Digestion is important for survival and for good health. What we choose to digest is important. If the foods we choose are not what the body needs to repair and rebuild, we encounter all sorts of problems. Disease, weight gain, new energy, mood disorders, and a disruption of all of our hormones, including your sleep and wake hormone, hungry and full hormones, sex hormones, and so on. So to be clear, malabsorption is the same as not eating the right foods. Your body can't get what it needs to build things like human proteins. It doesn't get good fats to build your cell walls, and energy can't be produced. So eat well and be well. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.